Welcome to the Brecon Beacons in Wales, more specifically the A4069, otherwise known as the Black Mountain Pass. Now this is one of my favourite places on the planet, and the reason I'm here is this, our first ever press bike to review. BMW have very kindly sent us this R1250 GS-TE, that's a lot of numbers and a lot of letters, but I'll talk you through what it all means very shortly. And I've decided to bring it here to one of my favourite places to see what all the fuss is about. This is my first time on a GS. In fact, it's my first time on an adventure bike. And even more ridiculous, it's my first time on a BMW motorcycle product. So I'm really excited to see just why so many people love the GS. This is the 40th anniversary edition. 40 years of GS means that it's just been evolving and evolving and evolving, getting better and better each year. Welcome aboard the R1250 GS-TE. So it's a series of firsts for me because, well, this is the first time I've ever ridden a adventure bike. It's also the first time, believe it or not, I've ever ridden a BMW motorcycle product. A year ago I sold something I loved. Sold my Ducati Panigale 899, which if you are a motorcycle enthusiast you will know that that is a very different bike. Now coming off of a sports bike and onto a big adventure bike, it's well, it's like chalk and cheese. It's like getting out of a Mazda MX-5 and jumping into a Range Rover, I guess. But don't be fooled into thinking that this is a slow and unexciting bike, because it isn't. Now being the TE, I can't actually remember what TE stands for, but it ultimately means posh with all the options. Things like automatically adjusting dampers, very clever system where the bike can detect how much weight is riding, i.e. if it's just you as the rider, or if you've got a pillion on the back, or if you've got panniers loaded up with heavy luggage, or even a rucksack. The bike will adjust its damper settings in accordance to the weight that's on the bike itself. Some of the other options I'm demonstrating now without even realising. The bike is fitted with a quick shifter up and down. Now, I had heard before riding the GS mixed reviews on the quick shifter on here. Now some people say that it's smooth as silk, absolutely glorious in shifting both up and down. And other people say that it's really clunky and clumsy in comparison to sports and superbikes. I'm going to sit right on the fence and say that it's somewhere in between. I find there is no point using the quick shifter, and in fact I find this on most bikes with quick shifters, there's no point in using it coming out of first or second gear. Yes, it is clunky, clumsy there. It's a very clever system. If you're off throttle, slowing down, you can just simply tap down with your foot to change gear, no need to engage the clutch or disengage. It means you can do it mid-corner like that. You're not unsettling the bike by pulling in the clutch and re-engaging. But it also means that as you accelerate, no clutch needed, it will just slip up the gears, smooth as silk, just like that. Now if you're pulling away in first gear, even if you've got the revs up nice and high, it's a good old clunk into second. And if you're low speed in second to third, that's a good old clunk there as well. So I prefer clutch in from first to second and from second to third, and then beyond there, just tap it up. I mean, for example, I'm doing 50 miles an hour here on this 60 mile per hour road. I can just knock it up into 6. Not a sausage. Barely a bump in the road. And then back down again, down to 5th, down to 4th, down to 3rd, down to 2nd. Easy as pie. This particular TE is also fitted with some really, really lovely options. And one of those is called the 719 option, which means that it comes with some really, really lovely aftermarket parts. These mirrors are a primary example of that. The foot pegs and crash bars around the boxer cylinder heads, they're all billet as well, which is a really, really lovely feature. So to talk you through some of the rider functions on the bike, you'll notice there's an awful lot of buttons, both on the left-hand grip and the right-hand grip. First thing, again, an option, is this button here. If you push this, you have 2 options, grip heating and seat heating. Haha! First bike I've ever ridden with heated seats, and I'll let you into a little funny story. I thought, at the time of getting this bike delivered and riding a couple of 100 miles on a motorway to get to our review location, I thought that for the first time in my life I had experienced saddle soreness. Now, bearing in mind previous bikes have been superbikes, which are notoriously bad for getting a sore bum, I thought that the GS was the first bike that I'd ever ridden that had actually come up with that issue. Turns out I was just cooking my arse. I had the seat on level 5, and I'm not kidding, you could probably fry an egg with it at level 5. Now let's go through some more of these options. So you'll notice I mentioned the big spinny wheel thing for the heated seats and the heated grips. By the way, it's not only the rider's seat that's heated on this, the pillion seats, the passenger seat behind, also has a heated seat option, and that's done with a little rocker switch on the side of the seat. So the passenger can also ride along cooking their bum to their heart's content. So we've got the cruise control, we've also got suspension adjustment, so you can hit this little button here, and up on the screen comes a few different options. I like riding along in road because anything else, it's just a bit stiff. And I guess if I was riding on a surface that was a bit smoother than this one, maybe dynamic would be the preferred option. But yeah, for this sort of average 60 mile per hour roads here in England and Wales, I find the road is pretty much perfect. It's a very, very comfortable ride. So you'll notice also here we have the menu button. You can access this as you're riding along. You can scroll across with the wheel to go through various different options. So as you're riding along, a lot of it's blanked out. So when you come to a stop, that's when you fiddle with things with your settings. But also, you'll notice that in the top corner there's a little light there that says TFT. And that means that the wheel, the spinny option wheel, is controlling the TFT screen down here. If I hold the menu button up like this, I go to the nav screen. And there, I can zoom out, I can zoom back in, I can scroll across to different options. There's a compass, for example. I can basically tweak everything on the bike's dual screens without having to take my hands off the grips at all, which is just wonderful. And this system, again, the first time I've used the wheel as a selector or a menu option, it's just been, it's so intuitive. It just clicks straight away with how you'd expect it all to work. It's a wonderful system, really. I'm going to demonstrate that quick shifter as well. Look, first to second, see what I mean? It's really jolty, very, very jolty, and even second to third. That's a fairly strong jolt. So for me, I prefer it beyond second gear. So watch this, third to fourth, no clutch, smooth as silk. Fourth to fifth, just lovely. The glaring obvious option is here and here. And here and here. Yellow. Now the yellow signifies the 40th anniversary pack. GS have now been producing bikes for 40 years. That's an incredibly long time. So think Porsche 911, think Volkswagen Golf, think BMW M3. Iconic vehicles that have over the years just evolved and evolved and evolved. They've always been good, always been good. The 911 has always been a good car, but each iteration has got better and better and better. And I'd like to think that is exactly what's happened with the GS as well. Well, today is the sad day because as you join me now, I'm on my way back to the office to return the bike. It is being collected this morning, and what can 40 years of evolution do to any vehicle? Well, to the GS it's done nothing but wonderful, wonderful things. I have nothing to grumble about on this bike, nothing at all. I'm even riding it in the rain right now and I couldn't be bothered at all. A bike that's so big but yet so agile, so comfortable, has every single gadget and option that I think I would ever want on a motorcycle, with nothing that I think it's missing. You know, everything here is exactly what I want. It gives you just enough rider engagement. You can turn off the various settings. You can turn off things like ABS on the back wheel if you want to slide into corners, or if you're doing big enduro riding. You have the option to take manual control of absolutely everything on this bike and be completely content that it's you as a rider doing it. But then at the same time, if you want to be cruising up and down dual carriageways or the motorway, you can whack the cruise control on and just sit in comfort with your heated grips and your heated seats, listening to music in your headphones, being protected from the wind. It's just staggering. It's transformed my opinion on bikes. It's solidified my love for BMW, and it's even making me think about how I get myself one of these, and that's always the good sign of a good press bike or a press car. Anything that you get on test, if it leaves you contemplating a route into which you can have ownership of one, then that's pretty incredible. I'm actually quite sad to see the back of this GS, and I'm probably going to get back on the phone to the BMW press office very shortly and see how I might be able to get myself on another one. But this is it, this is the final left turn back into the office, and the lovely team at BMW will be here in just a few minutes to come and collect it. So there we are, parked up for the last time. The R1250 GSTE. Glorious, glorious, glorious motorcycle.